Hello, this is Clint Johnson, aka Saint Ice, and you're watching Let's Talk About It with Raheem Mitchell.
Let's talk about it. Say I just heard about a show. Let's talk about it, where the independent artists go. Let's talk about it, Nisi got a new EP. Let's talk about it, Stephanie's doing comedy. Let's talk about it, That girl from LA and that guy. Let's talk about it,
And now your host of Let's Talk About It, Raheem Mitchell.
Hello, and welcome to Let's Talk About It. I'm your host, Raheem Mitchell. Thank you for tuning in. I hope everybody's out there having a great time and you loving on your family because everybody needs love. Speaking of love, today on the show, I have none other than Clint D. Johnson, better known as Saint Ice. Welcome, Clint, to the show, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you.
How are you doing, sir?
Man, I'm excellent. I'm blessed, highly favored. I got up this morning. Nobody had to drag me out of bed, so I'm winning.
All right, that's good, man. That is excellent. That's excellent. So tell us a little bit about yourself and let us know. Let's talk about it.
Okay, so man, it's a long little story, but let's go here. I pretty much identify as a creative. So when God was handing out blessings, he said, this boy gonna draw, this boy gonna do poetry, and he gonna do this, that, and the other. So I'm a native of Southern California. My folks are from the South. My mom was from Cali, but my dad, that side of the family, everybody's from Shreveport, Louisiana. My mother's people, they're from New Orleans. So I got this Southern blood inside of this Southern California man. And I'm pretty much, I identify with being a creative, man. I love to write, I love to draw, I do graphic design. Second year in college, I studied fashion design. So I'm just this kind of creative smorgasbord type guy.
Right.
You know.
Right.
Yeah.
So you said you do poetry.
Yeah.
Okay.
So right now I'm back there. There's like a resurrection, right?
Okay.
LA or Southern California is a hotbed for poets from LA to the Inland Empire to Hollywood. Somebody has an open mic going. When I was in my teens, I was a student over at Fairfax High School, and I was introduced to this group. We were called the Rappers Rap Group. It was like around 1980, and I'm dating myself real quick. 1980, 81, and hip hop was real popular. It just hit the West Coast. Of course, they had been doing it on the East Coast forever. And I had a buddy of mine, and we still real tight. He goes by the name right now of Carlton the Messenger. So back then he was Love and C, and we had made a pact. We said, man, if we find anybody that's trying to sign up rappers, we would keep each other posted. Right. So come to find out, he said, hey, Clint, I found these people, they're looking for rappers. You need to come down to Hollywood and do this interview or audition. I'm like, man, seriously? So I'm all of 18 years old, right? And at that time, they called me Mr. Ice. I was on some cool kick, man. I was, fresh off Arthur Fonzarelli, and I was a Morris Day fan, all that jazz. So, just with the laid back demeanor anyway. So my first shot at giving my poetry a platform, I was 18, 19 years old, a member of this group called Rappers Rap Group. And that was my first exposure to doing more than just sharing it with my family in the neighborhood, Yeah.
So you had a chance to get out and have everybody see you.
Oh, man, it was crazy.
Like, wow, all these people, so I ain't gonna mess up. I gotta do my thing, right?
Yeah, it's, but the cool thing, it's all about creative expression. Right. If I were a muralist, I'm sure my stuff would be splattered all over big walls all across town, Right. But the gift to write, man, it's powerful. Like I'm sure in the near future, I'm gonna write something about you. I might as well write a theme song about Let's Talk About It, right?
Might as well. Hey, it's always welcome. Always welcome.
Yeah.
So you're friends with my director, Carl Drenite and his buddies.
Yes.
You guys have this group called Men's Empowerment. Am I correct? Men's Empowerment, right?
Men's Empowerment, yes.
Oh, okay.
Men's Empowerment Group.
How did you get involved with that, and how was it all started?
Okay, so Cauldron I met through, we call him Big Measy, Michael, right?
Right.
Michael Roberts. So Mike and I used to work together at this, I don't know if you can name places, but we used to work together in the graphic design department
Right.
at a printing place over in Torrance off of Pacific Coast Highway.
Right.
So Mike adopted me as his big brother, right?
Okay.
And of course I'm about the size of David the Giant Killer, so everybody's bigger than me, but it's okay. So me and Mike, oh man. So Mike was like, Clint, we're doing this thing on Sundays. And he would always email me or call me, and I'm like rolling over, like, am I gonna go to church? I'm gonna get up, what I'm gonna do this morning, it's Sunday.
Right.
So I would chime in, and man, it was just beautiful. You have powerful men of color talking about community, talking about goals, aspirations, dreams, how they can make a difference, and it becomes an iron sharpening iron scenario.
Right.
When I begin to share, hey man, well, this is what I'm about doing, even to the point where we were creating goal lists that we would share with one another, and vision boards, and how we're growing and moving forward. So it became an accountability group as well, because everybody's not in the football huddle right now, but this became our huddle. Right. And this is my play, this is your play. Oh man, congrats. And it's encouraging to be amongst brothers, and everybody is moving the same direction. They're their own path, their own trail, but the direction is forward.
Right.
So it's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah. When we were speaking about that the last time they were here, they were telling me how they, like you were saying, hold each other accountable.
Yes.
Like Big Mike was saying, I call him Big Mike.
Right.
He's saying how he was starting his T-shirt business and how he wanted to do this. And I'm like, okay, well, what are you doing with that? And then at the next meeting, somebody's always coming up to you saying, hey, so how's that going? Are you, are you getting started now, or what's that? And that's where the empowerment come in, because they're empowering you to do stuff. Yeah. And that's awesome. Yeah. So have you shared some of your poetry with them, or?
Well, so we had talked about the goals.
Right.
And then of course putting the book was on my list of goals. And then one Sunday I showed up, hey man, my stuff is published. I'm on Amazon. So very, very celebratory, very, very much an atmosphere of celebrating one another. Mm-hmm. So when you're in that type of environment, it's difficult not to share what you're doing.
Right.
And so it was like one thing to check off of the to-do list. Right. So the goals are in motion, Right. Yeah. So I give a lot of credit to that group, because it's like, hey man, we're moving forward. What are you doing with what God has given you? Because there's a strong emphasis on God giving you something to work with. Right. Nobody comes here barren. We really don't. Everybody got something in I don't know, like Felix had a bag of tricks.
Right.
Everybody got something to grab out their bag. Is what you gonna do with it.
Right.
We all got seeds, and you gonna plant them.
Right.
And you might have no control over the soil, but you still got them seeds.
Yeah.
You gotta do it.
You still got to plant them.
Yeah.
And you said you have your poetry book is out.
Yeah.
And I see that you brought it.
Oh, let me reach over here and grab this.
Yeah.
So this is Love Is So Cool.
Oh, right.
That's the title. It's a part of a 3-part series. This is book 1, Love Is So Cool. The next book is called Cool Lightoscope, and then the following book is In the Cool of the Day. Right. So I'm on a cool kick, right?
Right.
But this one deals with relationships, what men go through, because we're not always given the platform to be transparent.
Right.
Everybody wants the strong man, so strong that we become rigid and we break.
Right.
Then when we're broken, who's there to pick up the pieces? And so it's a look of me, being a man who's been divorced, me being a man who, what's the popular term, being ghosted. See, you saved, you got wifey, right? But it's a couple of us out there like, man, in time, Right. But just talking about the ups, the downs, the outlooks, the perspectives of not just dating, but relationship as a whole. I think the marriage life is outstanding and amazing, and if God sets it up, we'll do that again. In the interim, you look at it from a different set of eyes. Right. You want to be real, you want to be transparent. Folks want you to be genuine, and that's what you expect from an individual as well. Right. So all that type of thought process, thinking, philosophy, and experience is wrapped up in the pages of Love Is So Cool. Right. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So what inspired you to do that?
Okay, so I'm a part of this poetic community in LA, and a lot of the poets were putting books together.
Right.
And I was like, oh, okay. And I had enough material, but I needed a theme. So I was like, oh man, Valentine's Day is coming up. Now my trajectory wasn't realistic. It's like, oh man, yeah, I would put together a Valentine's Day. Took a little while.
Right.
But they gave me a theme. So it's like, Clint, you have a lot of relationship poems and you have a lot of stuff that's still in you. So, you know, we talk about therapy nowadays, and that's a taboo in some neighborhoods and it's a savior in others.
Right.
So I was mourning the loss of a loved one and the loss of a marriage, right?
Right.
So sitting on the therapist's couch, and who thought I'd be there, right?
Right.
But then she said to me, do you journal? I said, no, I'm not really a journaler. I said, but I write poetry. She says, oh, well, poetry and journaling can be the same thing. Okay. So I began to, the way that I know how, put my feelings and my experiences on paper or typing them into my phone. I might wake up in the morning, grab the phone, and my thumbs are moving because the thoughts are there. And then ultimately it just culminated in a book, you know, working with a good friend of mine, Arnita Leonard. She edited the book for me. My good friend Tyrone Petrie, that's my boy forever. He shot the cover.
Right.
And the cover was initially for some modeling that I was doing, sunglasses, but that's a whole nother story.
Right.
I do Photoshop graphics, so I went on Through the Roses behind me trying to do a theme conscious thing.
Right.
Got on Amazon, let it go, and been moving ever since, you know?
Right.
So yeah,
Right.
yeah, it's
So what will be your what's your go-to poem in your book?
It would be the title piece, Love Is So Cool. And it's kind of hard. It's like asking you which one of your kids is your favorite kid, right?
Right.
And you love your babies, but you love them for different reasons. First, they're yours, and like, well, this one is strong over here, and that one is strong over there.
Right.
So in a very general sense would be the title piece, Love Is So Cool. Yeah. So do you want me to read a little something?
Sure.
Okay, I'm just saying, I don't know.
Yeah, let's do it. Just open the book and pick one.
Just pick one, eeny, meeny, miny, mo. I'll just read a piece of this.
All right.
So this is it's set up as a conversation I'm having with my grandfather.
Right.
And I'm blessed enough to say that my dad's dad was a man who poured into me. So a lot of how I act, how I behave, and my perspectives are based on, boy, come here, let me tell you something, right?
Right.
So I'm this kid like, oh, okay, right? So here we go. I want to be in love. It's a wonderful thing. With a lifelong partner who truly loves me. Die hard romantic more than roses and chocolate candies. You see, I'm not concerned with what another man is thinking of. I speak my love language, kisses and hugs. You see, I need a stick to my ribs, a biscuits and gravy kind of love. You know, so it was said to me that everything that looks good to you ain't good for you. Watch how they do you, ignore you, or adore you. Grandpa said, boy, don't you be no fool. I said, yeah, Pop, but love is so cool. And so that's just a little piece of that one.
Right. Love is so cool.
You know,
it is.
yeah, so.
Yeah, love, to be honest with you, man, love is cool, you know, but sometimes it can be cruel.
It's work.
Yeah.
Like any good thing.
Right.
And, you know, it's like you got a good thing in front of you, but you still got to nurture it. You got to take care of it. You got to check up on it.
Yeah.
And love requires something from you. You know, it's not the romanticized thing that we were taught when we were kids.
Right.
You know, the ladies are still waiting for Prince Charming to roll up on the white horse and climb the castle. And we looking for Prince Charming and Cinderella, or Princess and hit the Cinderella shoe.
Yeah.
It ain't that.
No, it's not. It's not at all.
It's not that. But it's beautiful. It's good to have folks in your life who love you.
Right.
And it's what did Teddy Pendergrass say? It's so good loving somebody and somebody loves you back.
That's it. Yeah.
That right there,
Yeah.
man, that's fire.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's my cat right there too, boy. Oh, yes, it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, what advice would you give to an up and coming poet? Like if you were mentoring a poet,
mentor.
and he was asking you some questions.
Excellent.
How
Excellent
would you guide him? What would you tell him?
I would say be true to you and let your experiences lead you, because you're going to have to dig from your depth. Like some of us are quick off of the top. Boom, I can freestyle. Boom, boom, boom. But the freestyle is beautiful, but it's different when you dig deep and you bring those things up. some people are going to be storytellers. Some people are going to be they're going to be entertainers. Some people are here to amuse you. Some people are here to teach you. Find out what you are. Now, what's interesting, you can be all of those things, and different personalities of a writer take center stage when it's that time.
Right.
You know, but I would say be true to your craft and don't be afraid to hone your craft. Listen to different artists, listen to different people that you respect. There's always something to learn. We never have it all. We didn't come here with it all. We don't leave here with it all.
Right.
A degree is simply a portion of something. It's a degree. So we never get it all. But the journey is keep digging and don't be afraid to explore. Don't be afraid to share.
Right.
You know, the simplest thing can sound profound because oftentimes they are, you know, and don't worry about the haters. There's always gonna be somebody like, I don't like it. Listen, that's why they got 20, 25 different car brands. That's why they got 100 different restaurants. That's why they got 25 billion different designers and a gazillion people, because everybody got their own flavor.
Right.
So don't worry about that person.
Right.
Let your light shine. If God gave you a light, turn that thing on.
Yeah.
Be that light. Be that one off the coast and the ships see you and they come to you because your light's bright.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, do it.
Yeah.
Do it. Don't let this world shut you down.
Okay. So what are some of your poets that inspire you?
Oh, great question. So, you know, I came up in the hip hop era.
Right.
So my first real exposure to poetry would have to be hip hop.
Right.
So crazy enough, right? So I think I was a Melly Mel fan from
Right.
Grandmaster Melly Mel and the Furious Five.
Right.
I like LL Cool J, LL Hard, right? There's so many modern day poets. I think I like the vibe of cats like Common and Talib Kweli. And of course, shout out to all the brothers that was in my group, the Rappers Rap Group. Them were my people, that was my army, right? There's just a lot of fire out here. I think I like Nikki Giovanni is fire. Gil Scott Heron is fire. My one lady, her face is right there, and I could strangle me for not remembering her. But just powerful poets out here. Oh, now here's something funny, right?
Right.
So my father passed away when I was 5. I would have been 5 2 months later. So
Right.
that's a whole nother story. So they tell me, you know, your dad wrote poetry. I have never heard any of my father's poetry.
Right.
So I found out as a teenager that my father was a writer as well as an artist. So I'm sure that was a spark. That had to be inspiration. Like, what?
What?
Dad
What?
did this? So it kind of is almost like a baton being passed with me coming into that knowledge.
Right.
So I got to say, Dad, I've never heard your stuff, but your inspiration is there.
Right.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
So when you finally sat down and said, okay, I'm going to do my poetry. Now, was it hard for you to pick what poetry you wanted to go in the book, or was you like, I'm gonna just let it go and let God?
In the beginning, it was difficult.
Right.
So, but once I had the concept of a theme and a direction, then the rest of it kind of fell into place.
Right.
It's like, okay, Clint, this is about relationships. This is about the highs, the lows. Like, the love is so cool. I did a piece just last night called Masterpiece, equating the beauty of a woman to artwork, you know? And there's another one called Security, where it's like, the wall's too high. I'm damaged over here, right? So, but there's that thread. There's that emotional, there's that relationship component that holds the book together. So that's what this one was about. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how long did it take you to
Woo.
write it, put it together, and
So the putting it together was easier than writing, because the writing happened over a period of time.
Right.
I have one piece in here that is probably dated back in 2001,
right?
but it fit the narrative. I have one piece which will remain anonymous about when I was dating somebody. You know, I was like, ooh, and yeah, even though that relationship didn't work, I said, well, I'm gonna get paid for my pain. Let me throw this in here.
Yes, sir.
So, and then the last pieces were probably the most difficult, because of like, I'm there, but I'm not there. Like there are 33 pieces in the book, and I have artwork as well. And it's like, ooh, 33, the number just hit. You know, it's a powerful number to different people for different reasons.
Right.
And it was like, when you know it's finished, it's finished.
Right.
Yeah, and the last piece, work of art, was probably the most difficult because it wasn't associated with a particular event or an experience. It was me doing what I said earlier, kind of digging down deep and trying to pull something else out of me, you know. So writers do that.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So when you said you had someone edit your book, so when do they edit your poetry, or when they edit, are they saying they editing it so the poems fit as they are in the book, or do they try to edit some of your work?
See, that's a great point. So a good friend of mine, Stephen Lyle, Steve and I go back. Me and Steve, we work on comic book projects together, but Steve's a co-writer, right? So I've trusted him, and he's known me over the years. And then Arnita's a co-writer, and she publishes her own stuff as well. So she would pretty much catch punctuation, right? And our thing was, catch the punctuation. If I sound like I'm running on being crazy, catch it for me, because I'm in my creative zone. I'm not paying attention to periods and commas.
Right.
And then she said, well, Clint, what about if I can swap out some of the words? And I said, well, what are we talking about? Well, maybe there's a word that means the same thing, but it's not as common, and it won't take away from what you're writing. I said, okay, cool. I can work with that.
Right.
So sometimes different eyes and ears come to enhance what we do,
Right.
you know. So then she got me ready. We went back and forth, whatever graphics we're going to be put in the book, different fonts. It was a really involved procedure,
Right.
you know, because I'm all artsy. I can't just have black and white text and let it go. And it's
Right.
like, why can't I just be simple? So the book has a little flavor, has a little style to it, but it's not just me alone. It's me working with other people, bringing that to pass.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So once we got it all together, we shot it up to Amazon, okay? And Amazon's a great outlet for people to get their stuff in the marketplace.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Why you write that way? Because that's what I was accustomed to.
Right.
So then she had me breaking my patterns. And I said, okay, because poets, open mic and slam have a different cadence
Right.
than rappers do.
But if you're telling me you do 10 and you dine at 3,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying?
Make some adjustments.
Please stay tuned for the next part of this segment.
Let's talk about it, talk about it. Let's talk about it, talk about it. Talk about it. Let's talk about it, talk about it. Talk about it. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. That girl from